Okay, so first thing I'm going to have you do is go into polygon selection mode and bring up your polygon statistics panel. Hit the plus key next to skelegons, and let's actually control click deselect those layers. I'm going to hit the X key to cut that out of that layer, and I'm going to paste that skeleton into another layer. And the reason I'm doing that is because when we're creating the weight maps, I don't want to accidentally select any portion of our skeleton. Okay, let's go back into the mesh layer, and I'm going to show you one way of creating weight maps. Certainly there's more than one way, just like in everything in 3D, there's always more than one way to do something. And the way that I'm going to show you to create weight maps is by point selection. The other way that you can do it is actually by just selecting a whole bunch of polygons and creating a weight map from them and giving it an initial value of, say, 100%. And that will assign the value 100% to all the points associated with that polygon. Well, that's okay, and sometimes for the quick and dirty weight map that works really well. But if you want to be precise and if you really want to get really nice deformations in your mesh, the best way to do it is by point selection. So let's go ahead and get started here. I'm going to go into my top viewport, deselect that, and I'm going to select, I'm going to lasso select this entire finger here, and hit the equal key to hide the rest of the mesh. Put the skeleton layer in the background. I'm going to use my point tool. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab these first two rows, 8 points in total, and I'm going to create a weight map for that. I'm going to give that weight map an initial value of 100% and go ahead and name it. And this is going to be right index 3. Now, a little bit about naming conventions. So certainly, if you want to name your weight maps so that you know their weight map, you might want to add weight to it, or just a W, that's fine. There's no difference whatsoever. Generally, the way that I do it is just to give it the same name as the bone that it's associated with. So that way when I go to assign the weight maps, I don't really have to think too much about what I'm doing. So I'll go ahead and click OK there. Let's actually go into our 4 view. And you can see already that we've got some weight map on there, which is indicated by this little paint. It looks like a little bit of sort of a reddish orange has been painted onto our mesh. And it looks like I didn't, somehow when I selected my polygons I didn't get everything, so that's okay. I'm going to just go ahead and re-select these with the lasso tool, paint everything on. Now hit the equal key. And this time I got everything. Okay, sorry about that. Let's move on. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to deselect those 8 points, and I'm going to select the next 4 points. And this time I'm going to go in and set the vertex map value. And this is going to allow me to add point weights to the current weight map selection, which remember is right index 3. So let's go in here and I'm going to give it a value of 50%. And you can see over here in our perspective view that we did get a little bit more weight added to this finger. And we've got a really nice fall off happening right at the joint of the second and the third bone. Well, I'm going to leave this point selection up right now, and I'm actually going to go and create a new weight map. But this time I'm going to give it a value of 50%. And why am I doing that? Well, remember when we were doing right index 3, we gave these points associated with that weight map a value of 50%. Now that I'm moving on to the next weight map, I'm going to give them the same value of 50% so that they add up to a total of 100%. And it's a good rule of thumb when you're creating weight maps is that any given point, its total, the sum total of all of the weights associated with that point should equal about 100%. Certainly that's not always true, but it will give you the most reliable and predictable results. So let's go ahead and name this weight map right index 2. And as you can see, we've started a new weight map here. I'm going to deselect those points, select this next two rows, and I'm going to set the vertex map value. This time I'm going to give them 100%. So in the middle of the finger here, it's 100%, and towards the ends of the finger at the joining point to the bones, they're going to be 50%. Select these, 50% for the value. Okay, and there is right index 2. Let's go ahead and create a new weight map. Call that right index 1. Remember, this time it's going to be a value of 50%, not 100. Deselect those points. Select the next two rows there. Add in a value of 100% to those. Deselect. And then finally, these last 4 points, add in a value of 50%. Okay, moving right along, let's go into our viewport again, unhide our mesh, go back into polygon selection mode, and now I'm going to select the middle finger. And I can easily verify that selection by just temporarily cutting it out and then undoing. Go back into our foreview. We'll select these first two rows of points, and now we're going to create a weight map. This is going to be right, middle, 3. Those get a value of 100%. Deselect, select the next row, set the vertex map value, 50%. Okay, moving on, create a weight map. It's going to be right, middle, 2. This gets a value of 50%. Click OK. Deselect next two rows and add in a value of 100%. Deselect. And finally, the last row. Add in a value of 50%. Now let's create another new weight map. This is going to be right, middle, 1. Gets a value of 50%. Deselect. Select the next two rows. Add in 100. Deselect. Select. 50%. Okay, there's that finger. Unhide our mesh. Select this finger here. Do make sure that you get everything in your selection that you're shooting for. Go into point mode, and let's select these 4 points. Create a weight map, and this one will be called right ring 3. Oops. Gets a value of 100%. Moving along, add in a value of 50%. Create a new weight map. Right, ring 2, 50%. And in this case, you can see actually the way that we've set up our bones here. We actually have 3 rows of points. So this time I'm just going to select this middle row here, and I'm going to add in a value of 100%. And then I'm going to select this last row and add in a value of 50%. Create a new weight map. This will be right, ring 1. That gets a value of 50%. Deselect. And now I'm going to select these 3 rows. So for the ring finger, we've got a nice long bone here. Maybe a little bit too long, but you know, in the end, I think it'll be okay. We'll add in our value of 100%. Deselect. And then finally, add in 50%. Okay, that's it for our fingers. But we still have the thumb. So let's go ahead and, I think I'll just go ahead and leave the entire mesh up for the moment. I select these first two rows, create a weight map. This will be right thumb 3. Those will get a value of 100%. And deselect those. I carefully select these points and verify my selection in the perspective view. I'm going to add in a value of 50% there. And now I'm going to create a new weight map. Right thumb 2. Give that a value of 50%. I'm going to deselect. And go ahead and actually select. Yeah, I'll just select that one row there. And that will get a value of 100. Deselect. It's getting a little bit tight in here in terms of got points that are close together. So just make sure you can always verify that you've got the points that you're shooting for. Oops, and I just deselected a point that I wanted. There we go. Okay, let's add in a value of 50% there, and that's it for the right thumb. 2, create a new weight map. This will be right thumb 1. It's a value of 50%. And then we are going to select our points here. Okay, give those value, whoops, that's what I wanted to do, of 100%. Then I'm actually going to move out just a little bit further into the hand, and I think actually we'll leave that alone. Let's select these points here. This looks like starting here, we've got this one, this one, this one, and this one. I'm going to give those a value too. I'm going to give them a value of 25%. The reason I'm doing that is because if you take a look at your thumb and you bend it around, you'll find that your thumb actually bends and your palm actually moves, quite a large portion of your palm moves along with it. So we're going to try to simulate that by adding in a little bit of weight here into the palm so that when the thumb bends, we'll get a nice bend there. Okay, so that does it for the fingers. Next we'll move into doing the arms, the hand, and hopefully the leg. And then we'll finish up by doing the center of the character, all the spine, pelvis, and the head.